Hello there, everybody! Welcome on in for the Cauldron Lake Lodge episode, where we get gaslit into thinking we're crazy. Anyways, how are you all? Hope everything is going well and your week has started off splendidly. And already we have Her Majesty just decided to join us. Hello there, Zoe. Oh boy, so before we get too far into this introduction, I just want to make my normal disclaimer if you're finding this without knowing much about the playthrough. So this is going to be not a standard playthrough. We will be pausing the gameplay quite frequently to look at other source materials and multimedia stuff for the that came along with it. That's going to be like the Alan Wake file, survival guide, comic books, things of that nature. Anyways, so let's go ahead and get this going. And if you want to see just a regular playthrough, I do have one streamed on the channel as well. We will be talking about full spoilers throughout the whole thing, so if you are not familiar with any part of the Remedyverse, I'm sorry. We will be discussing everything. But let me go ahead and grab my glasses. And she's decided to sit right on top of my notes. Got my whole thing of notes right here. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, exactly. Is the psycho thriller canon? All the comic books are canon, best. Alright, headphones on. And this time I will be pressing the start button, Zoe, rather than her hitting the continue game of her own volition. Okay, I think I got all that moved around now. Hey, what's up, bird? Oh. For some reason it started us here instead of in the next chapter, so let's just run down there real quick. I think it's because I didn't hit start the new episode.
I could see Cauldron Lake. I thought I could
My
make
bad.
out the
Let me
spot
speedrun
where the
this real
island
quick.
And the cabin had been. There was a light near it. It had to be a boat. I was close now. I tried to hold on.
Nope, we don't need to read that. Sorry about that.
I had to get there fast. I dreaded what I would find.
Yeah, it's just resetting me to the previous save point. And it doesn't refresh the save point until you hit start in the new episode.
No! Get away! Sorry, please, lady. The boss didn't know who he was messing with. I didn't know. I swear.
It's okay, Mott. You just sit there and yell.
We don't have his wife.
Skip.
Previously on
Here we go.
Alan Wake, I'm hunted by the law.
Sheriff, Wake's running. I'm giving chase.
Are you seriously telling me that writer just took out my deputies?
A thriller I supposedly wrote is coming true. The genre of the story seems to be shifting. It's turning into a horror story. I was told that Alice had been kidnapped, but that was a lie.
We don't have his wife. We don't know where she is.
Her purported kidnapper was eaten up by the dark presence before it attacked me.
Alan, shh, baby. It was just a nightmare.
Alice.
There you go, Alan.
Hartman. I fell.
I had to give you a sedative. Don't fight it. You went through another rough period.
What?
Right now, it's very important that you stay calm. We don't want you to have another episode. You're a patient at my clinic. Have been for a while now. The shock of your wife's death triggered a mental illness.
No, you're lying.
You're suffering from various symptoms of undifferentiated schizophrenia.
Bastard.
It's okay, Alan. Just let go.
So who trusts him? I mean, really? We saw what he tried to do to Jake earlier.
Groggy. Whatever Hartman had bumped in me was making me numb. I felt like this was happening to someone else. Someone I was watching on television. I couldn't think. Couldn't focus.
And of course we have the sundial with the Tom Zane quote there, and the front of the lodge painted. Come on, are you gonna come get me?
Good evening, Alan. Are we feeling better now? Feeling calm?
Yeah. I see you brought your pet gorilla with you. So sure, I'm calm. I get the message. Loud and clear.
Why, right. That's the spirit. You're being very brave, Alan. I understand you're confused. I would be more concerned if you weren't suspicious of me. I don't blame you for it.
Big of you.
Now, why don't you come with me? We'll reacquaint you with my clinic and go over everything you might have forgotten. Little walk and some fresh air? Yes, it will do you good.
I mean, it's not really a hospital in the common sense Lemonade. It's more of a psychiatric facility, but he does apparently have enough medical belts on that he's legally permitted to use medications. So, kind of. Alright, so we're going to go room to room here before we even go talk to Hartman down there. So room number 1, we have Wake. Not much in here other than the typewriter. We got our the things he was drugging us with, and some random stuff. And now, probably the most dense room is Thomas Emerson. And there's a lot of fun stuff in here. First things first, so this is a little, one of those little marble maze puzzles, and apparently in the original version of the game, before they cut it, you could actually play this as a minigame, where you can literally guide a marble all around the town. No, Zoe, stop sticking your furry butt right on top. Up here we have a Death Rally poster, further establishing that yes, Death Rally is canon to this universe, which I think is pretty freaking cool, and for some reason only appears in relation to events surrounding the Dark Presence. At least as far as we've seen. Like, I haven't seen this in Quantum Break, I haven't seen this in Control, although there are other arcade cabinets in Control. But it only appears 3 times from what I recall, unless I find it again. One here, there's a cabinet in the Dark Place at the Drive-In Theater, and there's another one in the Lodge in Alan Wake 2. So here we have what's essentially the Night Springs, the video game, and it's apparently for Xbox 360 based upon the design. Sure, Trailblazer, go ahead and ask any questions. But if you look at the bottom left of the poster for the Night Springs video game, it's made by Remedy, which tells us that Remedy Studios is canon to the Alan Wake universe as its own video game development company. Not Poison Pill, this is Remedy. Poison Pill only exists in Night Springs. And in reality, it's pure Remedy. So, do we wonder if maybe that was the company that Emerson once worked on, considering Remedy did make Max Payne? And we know Emerson may have had something to do with Max Payne? It's a Remedyception at this point. Alrighties, and the biggest thing about the lore building here is this is a level map that Emerson has been working on, and it is stated in the survival guide that he has been working on his own independent Night Springs video game while he's here at the lodge. But if you look at the maps here, you see a figure hiding behind a tree holding a flashlight, and then a dark shadowy figure holding a melee weapon right there. 1 second, Samuel, I'll be right over there to let you out. Which means that Emerson has been dreaming, or at least is unconsciously aware of Wake and what is happening right this very moment in the game. Which goes to show us that there are other characters, other artists and creators in the franchise that have the same communion with the Dark Place that Alan does. Meaning they can gain inspiration from the same source. Okay, Sam, I'll be right there. 1 second, guys. And it reminds you of the map from Twin Peaks a little bit. You'd have to clarify. Is it like a location in the show? Okay, let me start crossing things off. And we'll talk about some more stuff as we proceed, but that's, I think, good for right now. I think I kind of wrote my notes a little out of order, but we'll talk about it in a second.
This corridor is for patients. Most of them aren't here right now. Jack took them out for a fishing trip, except for the ones who are particularly vulnerable, of course. I encourage creativity as a part of the recovery process here at Cauldron Lake Lodge. I specialize in treating artists.
I bet you do.
Splendid, Alan. I honestly believe we can get this thing under control if we work together.
So
This way, Alan.
you could make the argument that Emerson's video game is reinforcing departure, but it's essentially what he would be doing as long as what we are interpreting is accurate, is that Emerson is witnessing the events of the video game we're playing right now and is trying to replicate it. And when you have multiple, the urban legend kind of gets stronger the more voices are singing, if that makes sense. Alright, room number 3 is Wendy Desolé. We can't get inside of this one, unfortunately, but she is a singer, and we will see her shortly. Next is Rudolph Lane. Respect. Alright, let's take a look at some of his stuff. We have 3 paintings that are turned away from us, so we cannot really see what they look like. I'm pretty sure if I had my free cam activated, which I do have in the Steam version, I'd be able to do this. But he has been working. We'll see more of his paintings later. Okay. Kaboom, kaboom. Next page. What's up, Hartman? We're not going to go talk to him just yet. We're going to head over here. So this painting is kind of interesting. It does show up in the Alan Wake files in the Dr. Hartman section. But on top of that, it's referred to, the name of the painting is called The Sublime Secret. Now, it was painted by an artist by the name of Chester DeCat. I looked it up. I couldn't find anyone by that name. Hey, you just watched your Death Rally video. Good Tom, Tom the Rhymer, in other words, Tom the Poet, could be related to. Have you heard of the Night Gallery, the spiritual successor to Twilight Zone? No, I have not. No, I have not. Go ahead and... let me just write that down as a... where are you? Boom. So what's it called? The Night Gallery? I'm just going to open up a window on that, then we'll continue. Now, Chester DeCat is in the Cheshire Cat. I mean, that's a good possibility. It could be a play on words there. Didn't cross my mind, but let's go with that for now. Now, a weird thing about this is in the survival guide, when Alan is walking past this painting, he specifically already knows what it's called, the title of the painting, and who the artist is, even though he acknowledges he's never seen it before. It's almost like he intuitively knows who painted this, which is a little odd. Now, we can't get inside the Andersons' room, but they do have their Viking shields up all over the place.
Now, Alan, from past experience with you, I know I need to get right into the heart of the matter as quickly as I can after an episode. So I'm just going to say this. Alice is dead.
No.
You're in a very vulnerable state until you understand and accept this. Alice drowned, and you couldn't face that. You're suffering from hallucinations, paranoid delusions, unusual thinking, an obsession about light and darkness, a feeling that everything revolves around you, your thoughts and dreams. Your mind has constructed an elaborate fantasy scenario in which your writings are affecting reality. She has been kidnapped, and supernatural forces of darkness are trying to stop you.
Hey, Eugene, welcome on in to the first time.
I wasn't ready for another shot, so I went along with it. He had to be lying. But under the influence of the drug he had given me, I had to fight not to believe his words.
Push him over the
It's all
ledge.
in your head. You've been making it up. Apart from
I
the
mean,
tragic
gravity's a
accident
bitch,
with
right?
Your wife, no one has been killed. Your delusions are just a manifestation of your subconscious mind trying to protect you from the too painful truth. Unless we fight the fantasy, it will return. I know the instinct is to resist me, but think about it. Doesn't this make far more sense than the insane supernatural conspiracy you have concocted in your mind? You're a skeptic by nature, Alan. We both know this. Everything can be explained logically.
Sorry, Dr. Ned's starting to come up a little bit right there, because first we got a bunch of chairs that aren't nailed down. They can be thrown. We have an umbrella right there that can be swung like a club. And you see the sundial back there? Oh, the tip of that needle looks very, very sharp. Anyways. Alrighty, let's take a look at this real quick. So, this this is dedicated as In Tenebris Kadir, which roughly translates to Fall into Darkness. Makes perfect sense. And there's a Thomas Zane quote, "Beyond the shadow you settle for, there's a miracle illuminated, in memory of a dear friend and a poet." Now, I'm playing through American Nightmare right now, and of course we know Balance Slays the Demon starts off with this quote from Thomas Zane. Now, in canon, they wrote this song after the events of the Bright Falls 2010 AWE, so after the end of the game they wrote the song. So I think a lot interpret as like, oh, well, they wrote it first and then Zane got it after. No. Most likely because the Anderson spent so much time here and they read this quote so many times, they decided to use it as the opening lyrics for Balance Slays the Demon. At least that's my interpretation of the whole thing. Now, this isn't in the game, but the building here was built in 1910, and the sundial here appears to have made this dedicated in 1912. So this sundial was built in 1912, 2 years after the fact, and this plaque here was only put in, according to the survival guide, in 1972. Did Hartman have this built? No. This was... Crap. Actually, we can check and see how old he is. 1 second. Because according to the survival guide, Dr. Hartman... Where is he? There he is. He's 55 years old at the time of this game. So that would be, what? 1965? 55? 1955? 45? Yeah. So he's born in 1955. The the lodge was built in 1910. So that's long before that. Okay, anything I've got here? So I do have something I need to read right here before we continue onwards. It says that there's an advertisement on page 133 of the survival guide, so let's go. So 133. There we go. Alrighty, so here's an advertisement for the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Shaping realities for the better. Personal and complete care for creatives. That's exactly what you're doing. Are you navigating through the turbulent waters of your career as a creative type? Are you experiencing a lack of emotional well-being or difficulty coping with the world around you? Is the darkness closing in? Do you have personality or mood disorders, depression or anxiety that hinders your progress to the summit of your individual expression? Do others constantly judge your work, critiquing it without the appropriate dignity and respect you're due? Do you have unrealistic thinking? Is the sky brooding gray instead of bright blue? There is help available at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Specific one-on-one care and study by the world-renowned psychologist Dr. Emil Hartman, author of the award-winning nominated The Creator's Dilemma, and a staff of trained professionals. We don't see the standard, we smash it, and rebuild the pieces into a brand new utopian nirvana, especially for you. You expect real and meaningful results? Then, welcome home. Through darkness into light. The lodge or sleep clinic offers relaxation, exceptional scenery, restful formal gardens, and a magical view of Cauldron Lake, one of the largest calderas in the world. Simply breathtaking. Contact us at the Cauldron Lake Lodge at 2323 Overlook drive off Highway 442 in Cauldron Lake. So yeah, it's definitely an echo of the Overlook Hotel. Just kind of has to be. Now, on top of that, we do have an excerpt, the introduction of his book, The Creator's Dilemma. So this is right past all of Nightingale's field notes. And his book is kind of esoteric in nature, which can be understandable considering what stuff he gets into. But I love that he kind of tattles on himself. Yes, we're reshaping realities. Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely are. Okay, where are you? The manuscript. Nope, not there. It's somewhere else down here. Errand Boy. Alan Wake. There's the other one we read already. Nonfiction. There we go. Alright, you guys ready for some reading? Let's go ahead and knock this out. Alright, Dr. Emil's The Creator's Dilemma was an unusual publication in that, while it targeted a mass audience with this promise of creative growth and renewal, it was underpinned by vaguely cosmic theories related to the power of artists. His insistent caveat that one could only hope to benefit from these methods by becoming a guest at the Cauldron Lake Lodge suggests, in this editor's opinion, that he was motivated by an ulterior agenda. Whether it be financial or another, darker purpose remains difficult to assess. Apparently dialing the phone number on the ad led to a recorded voice message. Yeah, it's not working anymore, but yes. You can call Hartman's number, and it was the voice actor leaving a message, but it's not there more, unfortunately. I'm sure I could find it online. Actually, let me make a note to do that real quick. Maybe go to the Wayback Machine or something. Okay. The instruments of creation. Art is not merely an imitation of the reality of nature, but in truth a metaphysical supplement to the reality of nature, by Friedrich Nietzsche. The artist is a chimerical, contradictory figure, revered and despised, worshipped and persecuted. He has been called shaman, trickster, priest, madman, blasphemer, and fool. Sometimes he has been all of these things at once. We sense somehow that the greatest artists are possessed by a vision that is beyond their kin. They venture to places the rest of us do not dare. They risk everything in pursuit of their goal. They bring back treasures and occasionally they unearth objects that should have been left buried. It is in the course of their adventures, however, that these heroes of desire are occasionally injured, or, as so often the case, they injure those closest to them. Such are the occupational hazards of the creative craft, and it is to these problems that I dedicate the following pages. 35 years ago, I began my training as a garden variety psychotherapist at Toland Memorial Hospital in Vermont. So 35 years prior. I don't know when this book was published, to be perfectly honest. So it says 35 years prior. Let's just go on the argument's sake that this was published just as soon as he, at the beginning of this game, that means it was, or sorry, if he started working, was about when he was 20 years old, which I don't think is accurate. So there may be a timeline issue, and remember the ages of the characters in the survival guide we've already seen is not 100% accurate. So I seriously doubt he started working as a psychotherapist at a hospital at the age of 20. But anyways, moving on with life. But he could be lying, who knows? That's kind of what he does. Alright, I administered daily relief with a kind smile and a handful of pharmaceuticals. While these encapsulated therapies had their place, for they pacified and calmed so many of these troubled souls, they did not allow our patients to overcome their various psychological challenges. They often withdrew and became lost inside themselves. Simrat also says that Hartman was Zane's young assistant. Yeah, we see that in the manuscript shortly. So let's just say that's 1970, which is 45 years prior. Okay. Because, yeah, that is 40 years before this. So he would have been, what, 15 years old at the time? At least if we go off of what the If we go off of what the survival guide said, that would mean in 1970 he was 15 years old, so who knows? But anyways, moving on. They often withdrew and became lost inside themselves. I had certain patients in my care who exhibited signs of artistic ability. Their works were not refined or sophisticated. They had rudimentary technique, and they were utterly ignorant of the prevailing aesthetic trends of their day, but they were possessed by some burning desire for self-expression. The work was often raw, brutal, and ugly, but always arresting in its ferocity and starkness. These were individuals producing what we now know as an outsider art. I left the small hospital some years later, but the image of these damaged souls carving their dreams into canvas and clay stayed with me. I went west and eventually settled into a private practice in Washington State. Here I found that while many of my patients were far more functional than those at Toland Memorial, they were often afflicted by some of the same problems. In them I saw the same urgent desire for self-expression, of problems, hopes, disappointments, desires, coupled with an inability to express these things that were most important to them. He embellishes every detail of his existence like a good narcissist. I mean, that is very true. That is very true. They could talk about where did I leave off? They could talk eternal. They could talk about their problems, certainly, but they could not reify their internal life, and so create some form of accommodations between what was so essential and pure inside them and what was often felt to be a drab and mundane reality of their external world. We encounter here, as we will again, the creator's dilemma. His words are always turned around towards himself. Oh, dude, he is so... He's just a full-blown narcissist, for one. So impressed with his own brilliance. Dreams that wake monsters. The artist's voice sings as though he summoned the powers of the ocean and ether. However, at times, these energies can become blocked. I mean, look right there. He's literally... The artist's voice sings as though he summoned the powers of the oceans and ether. I mean, it's not a lake, it's an ocean, right? He's literally telling that everything about this. And the term ether here can be interpreted as an everythingness. However, at times these energies can become blocked. The artist may think the well has gone dry. Again, he's using the water imagery. So he finds other outlet for the creative energies, predictably descending down the familiar trajectory of depression, alcohol, and other forms of self-abuse. He gives Gilderoy Lockhart energy? Yeah, no shit. Ichiro, I try to spell it as A-E ether. I mean, when I see E-T-H-E ether, I think of the narcotic, but A-E-T-H is the one I most commonly... That's how I would spell it. Many years ago, I had a patient who worked under the pen name of Philip Musil. He was a talented playwright, attractive and socially adept, and had produced some notable dramatic works for many years, until he hit what he often referred to as the glass wall. This glass wall, as he saw it, was the end of his writing career. Through the wall he could see his potential future of creative production, and now it seems like it belonged to someone else. Day after day he would batter himself against it, injuring himself in the process, but to no avail. The words that had come so easily to him in the past had ceased. He might have had the occasional idea for a play, but when he attempted to write it down, all he saw was the page were broken fragments of other writers' dreams. Now that is a very interesting expression. When he tried to draw upon his inspiration to write it down, all he saw was fragments of other authors. Is this some Hartman lore? Yes, Ichiro. This is the introduction to the book he wrote, the one that Alice read and inspired her to schedule the vacation here, because she was thinking of her husband the entire time. So this was a published book. But I like the description here of all he's seeing is the fragments of other writers' dreams, because if you have a connection to the dark place, that's essentially what you're doing, is you have other authors, other inspirations that you're seeing from other people, and he kind of like cookie cutters them, throws them together, and he presents them as his own work. Now, he's not doing that with the intention of plagiarism, but again, all artists, if they're working through the dark place, kind of do that. Like, we've seen a second that Rudolph Lane, for example, is picking up inspiration from Alan's story and starts painting it. So it's kind of the same thing. His own ideas no longer had the power to seize his imagination and carry him through the all-important first drafts of his fiction. This went on for a year before I met him. He joined us here at the lodge several years ago, which he admitted felt more like an artist's retreat than a psychiatric institution he had imagined. He was a very difficult case, and for the first 6 months was unable to produce any usable work. For a period, he even began exhibiting certain indications of cognitive slippage and delusional disorder. This worried his family, who began to feel he should be brought home. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're around Cauldron Lake and you're an artist, you're going to be, from the outside observer, having a delusional disorder. I mean, like, I'd argue, semantically speaking, plagiarism involves conscious theft. Whereas in this, the inspiration comes from the dark place. They have zero idea that they're pulling from other people. I mean, Alan pulled from the real-life FBI agent Alex Casey when he wrote his books. He had no clue that this was a real person. He just had a dream and says, oh, that's interesting, let's write that shit. Anyways, where were we? After some troubling visit in which he did not recognize his mother and sister, he was returned home, though his symptoms worsened. He would go on long night walks and return home injured and unable to explain why. He would conduct conversations with animals and trees. These bizarre behaviors went beyond their ability to understand or help him, falling squarely into what Carl Jaspers once called the doctrine of the abyss. Philip was returned to us some months later, and after a brief course of neuroleptic therapy, he soon began recovering, returning to more predictable patterns of ideation and behavior. Now, this may be me, maybe not projecting, but throwing in something here that may not have actually happened, mostly because I don't trust Hartman to tell the truth about anything. But it would not surprise me if he intentionally drugged Philip Musil to have him exhibit these insane behaviors, then sent him home with his family just for them to freak out and say, oh, no, take him back, he needs your help. And now, boom, now no one's going to question him. Like, it would not surprise me if he was pulling that kind of shit. Happy to be catching this for the first time. These lore pipes have been a clutch to watch the work this past week. Hey, to Tyler, glad to have you aboard. I'm glad I was able to help with the week. But who else thinks that that is definitely something he would do? Whether or not he did, but that's in his character. Okay. Philip was returned to us some months later after briefly. We worked through his period with a combination of pharmaceutical encouragement and what I have come to call engagement therapy and its sister method, the flow. It wasn't easy, but we persisted, and Philip began producing some amazingly imaginative work. It was a thrilling time for Philip and all of us at the lodge. Lives were changed during this period. He stayed with us for 2 years, eventually producing his 6-hour opus, Night Falls. While no one would consider this flawed work a masterpiece, it restarted his career and allowed him to get beyond the glass wall. Night Falls, you say? It's not Bright Falls and it's not Night Springs. It's that middle ground between the two. And since it's 6 hours, I don't know. Do you guys think he was drawing upon the 6 episodes of the Alan Wake video game? Where each hour was a different episode? Unfortunately, we don't know anything about this story, but there's an inspiration there somewhere that he was pulling from the lake. Of course, it would be disingenuous for me to suggest that all psychological and creative problems are solvable. At times, there are those who are beyond help. I mean, let's be honest, like, Emerson is pulling from what's happening right now in this game to make his Night Springs video game. And now we have this guy having Night Falls, and then we have what Alan's writing, and there's multiple different artists who are all pulling from the same creative well. And so it's understandable that their finished work is going to have some kind of echo. And if you're playing with the same Legos, eventually you're going to make the same things. One of my greatest professional disappointments was the now famous case of Daniel Sanders, the monumental sculptor from Oregon. His storied career was only 6 years long, and in that time he had produced 6 immortal sculptures. These were highly sought-after pieces both for their rarity and the fact that each of the 6 had been quickly purchased for undisclosed amounts by institutions and collectors in such far-flung locations as London, Rome, and Kyoto, all places where he was regarded as an American master. A methodical worker by nature, he would rise each morning. I mean, I'd argue, Marama, that Alex Casey is the B version of Max Payne, so I'd flip it the other way around, but anyways. So I find it interesting that a bunch of people from high-end institutions and collectors just randomly started purchasing these. And we don't know. Like, it may just be like, hey, it's expensive, let's get it. But considering what we're about to talk about in a second with his 7th work, it's possible that he's creating altered items. We'll see in a second. A methodical worker by nature, he would rise each morning at 5 and walk directly to a studio in a little wooden cottage behind his home. On the day in question, he was to begin his 7th work. A 3-ton cube of rough white limestone had been delivered to his studio, and the previous evening, and it stood there like a solemn mourner awaiting its transformation. He had assayed the quarried, I don't know how to pronounce that, and quarried the block a fortnight before, and he had numerous visions of how he would shape the alabaster surface of the stone. He saw dancing children, prisoners in a cage, piles of dying dogs, the gentle faces of long-dead lovers, fantastical sea creatures, and obese copulating couples entwined around each other. The limestone block would have become any of these things, but this morning, when he went into his studio and picked up his chisel, he found himself faced with his end. The images he had imagined beneath the surface faded away, and he saw only a 3-ton cube of limestone staring back at him like a bemused stranger. He persisted and told himself that this was a white-hot box of potential and possibility that stood before him. He had only to strike it and realize his vision. But instead, he sat down and stared at the block. He walked around it, slapped it for a good measure, but inevitably returned to his stool. He sat there for an immeasurable time. He couldn't lock into a single universe, basically. I mean, there were in one of the Writer in the Cabin episodes in the prison cell, Alan mentions the analogy of him writing a story from the dark place, from the darkness that's there, and that inspiration is like a sculptor creating something from a block of granite. And that's literally, we're describing that exact same thing right here. The block was an altered item. Well, we'll just continue. The Daniel story is very interesting. 3 days later, he was found on the floor by his neighbor, still staring at the white stone. He had shat his trousers and reduced himself to a dehydrated and wasted state by the time the EMTs were called. He lay on his back, perfectly still, perfectly conscious, still staring at the white block. He was brought to us by relatives, and I worked intensely with him for a period of 3 months, but to no avail. We used charcoal to draw figures in the stone and encouraged him to cut it. We tried a battery of drugs and hypnotherapeutic methods, cyclical psychodynamics, and integrative approaches, phenomenological methods, and extraconvulsive therapy, sensory deprivation, daily, multi-theoretical, and psychotherapeutic counseling, and tough love. Finally, I threatened to destroy the thing, explode it into a million shards, fearing it had become more psychic anchor around his neck, but he howled like an animal and swore it would be as though I were killing him. He had become physically bound to this object. We ceased all therapy at this point, and he was isolated in his own wing. He was allowed visitors, but chose to live a solitary existence. After a month, ideas began to return to him. He saw ocean waves, trees, dark clouds, ravenous birds, and a secret country to which he might travel, but only through the stone. So he was getting inspiration about departure, about the events of the game. The Dark Presence, Cauldron Lake, etc. And that it was a secret country, the stone itself, that only he can travel through the stone. Like it's a gateway. Like it's a threshold. It's a door. He had become convinced that this project would be his masterwork, that this stone was his door into that secret country where his future now lay. He saw the image of what he would create so precisely, but feared that it was so complex he did not have the skill to execute it. Paralyzed by his perfectionism, the vision he had held, an idée fixe, I think that's how you say that. Fixe, no, there's no accent, thank you. That returned to him in his apparent stupor as he awaited the precise and perfect moment for the first strike. The pharmaceuticals had no effect, the therapies did not work, and I'm sad to say that Mr. Sanders remained eating his chicken. Wait, sorry, no. Not eating chicken, with us at the lodge, sharing his basement room with his white monolith, transfixed by the vision of this door to a secret country. Again, as before, we see the creator's dilemma. Plot twist, it's one of the many nails that Yggdrasil etched onto it. Aw, dude. No joke, Maramba, that would be freaking crazy if... Granted, this is a block of white granite, and the Yggdrasil doors was etched out of black granite. But that is an interesting thought, though. Because it technically is a door to a secret kingdom into the foundation of the oldest house. One second, I'm just writing that down to think about later. Okay. Okay, as before, we see the creator's dilemma. I continue to hope that we will break through to Daniel using a long-range therapeutic approach I am currently developing at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. His case may indeed lead to the final fruition and perfection of my 2 patented therapeutic methods. Engagement therapy and the flow. I hope this book will serve as an introduction to the engagement therapy and its sister method, the flow. I would like to caution, however, that this humble tome... there's nothing humble about you, dude. Before we continue onwards, it's very much implied that Mr. Daniel Sanders is still at the Cauldron Lake Lodge right now while Alan's traveling through it. Now, we never see him, and considering the FBC responded to this place after the fact, who knows? We know Odin and Tor got a lot of them out. We know what happened with Rudolph Lane after he got out of here. We have no clue what happened to Wendy. We see a little bit of what happened with Emerson, but it's already confirmed. Actually, we'll talk about that in a second. But there are other patients that we don't see. Treatment with an accredited therapist from our lodge. The unfortunate truth is that these therapies cannot, in fact, be captured in a book any more than you can learn dancing or swimming from a book. Creativity is like the deepest of lakes, and this book will only skim atop its glassy surface, to dive deep into the vast lake of your own creativity, to venture to places you barely suspected inside yourself. I encourage you to contact us here at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. That said, I will show you the artist a rough sketch of how to break free of these resistances, conflicts, and blockages that have stalled your creative maturation using engagement therapy and its companion method, the flow. The problem of the working artists are manifold and can involve complete blockage, obsessive perfectionism, a cat in front of the screen so I can't read number 3, creative and technical plateaus, libidinal inversion and negative sublimation, rigid thinking, insomnia, more cat butt in front of the screen. Zoe, come here, come here. Come here, sweetheart. Come here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know, just move. You can just sit on the other half of the screen. Okay, hold on. She is not fighting me. Oh, come here. You can sit in my lap. Okay, there you go. Distraction and unfocused attention, detachment and disengagement, cathexis and anti-cathexis, creative impasse, anxiety and ideational hysteria, traumatic mnemic traces, diffusion and of instincts, identity failure. Now, I'll go ahead and... I'm not going to do this now, but I'm going to have to do a lot of research into what some of this stuff means, and when I get down to writing the script for this, trust me, I will go over all of these in detail, just for the fun of it. Why are you wriggling so much, cat? These are but a sample of the problems I had worked on with our guests at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Through intensive, well, yeah, identity failure, I mean, that might be something similar to ego collapse, which is a side effect of this astronauts. That's like when they're spending too much time using the conduit, the X-ray light box to go to the astral plane, is you can have an actual ego collapse, which sounds similar to identity failure. Just saying. All right. Through intensive sessions of engagement therapy and its companion method, the flow, you're not getting paid every time you mention that, dude. I'm just saying. You will involve yourselves in exercises that force you to confront the sleeping monsters inside yourself. I mean, think about it this way. The language he's using right here is intended to invoke images in the mind of the artist. So because he's saying you will confront the sleeping monsters, now the artist is thinking, okay, what monsters? They start imagining things. And that acts as inspiration. So he's literally causing these people to create monsters inside their own psyche that responds to the Dark Place and the Cauldron Lake. Like, this is not smart language. If you were a therapist, you would... and especially if you knew how the lake worked, that's not smart. Inside yourself, but that also delivers you to creative heights, and you had heights you had never imagined. Forbidden Planet. Thank you, Too Tall Tony. Yeah, Forbidden Planet is so good. And just as a shameless plug, if anyone's curious, I do have a video on Forbidden Planet and how it thematically relates to the Remedy Connected Universe. So if you're curious, it's in the Remedy Book Club playlist. I think that is the point, Ichiro, that he's intentionally trying to put these ideas into the artist's head before he accepts them as patients. We will till the soil and work to remove those psychic impedimenta that have found their ways into your process through engagement therapy and the flow, brought to you by Carl's Jr. We will work to build the channels of communication between your subconscious, your waking consciousness, and your higher consciousness. Or subconscious, waking consciousness, and higher consciousness. But your newly integrated mind will allow you to finally take control of your life so that you can live in waking dream and externalize your deepest aspirations. This heightened state will lead you to greater mental clarity and increased creativity, well-being, and happiness. The bygone cliché of the depressed and impoverished artist should be cast aside as a relic of the 19th century romanticism. You can live the happy and creative life you had always hoped for. You only need to release your greater yourself. What? You only need to release your greater yourself. Okay, that could have been phrased a lot better. If you found a book called Unless You, would you want to read it? See, the thing is, yes, I would, Ichiro, and the reason why is because... Sorry, this is a sidetrack, and I apologize. This is more of a control conversation. But the whole deal with Unless You is one, yes, it predicted the individual's death, but it also told that person how they can avoid the death. It literally gave them, like, hey, this is how you don't end up this way, and each and every time the reader fell into the same trap that the character did. Anyways. Yeah, I think it's a typo. Yeah, because I think it should just be your greater self, and not yourself. But anyways. Alright, next part. Liberation from the self. You can't find my Little Big Planet thing? When we get to the end, someone remind me to just post the Forbidden Planet link in the description, so you guys can find it later. My approach focuses not on the goal or task-oriented practices of the recent faddish therapies. There is no 12-step, no plan, no formula that can be applied to any and all. Herein lies the importance of joining us here at the Lodge. Our practice relies on a very basic suspicion that has been held by artists since the time immemorial. I have worked with writers, sculptors, photographers, architects, game designers, musicians, jewelers, weavers, videographers, and conceptual artists. When I ask them to tell me about the most creative period in their lives or work that they are particularly proud of, a hushed silence falls upon them, and they tell me their secret. They admit that they are imposters. They tell me that they are fakes. They concede that they did not write or sculpt or compose their greatest work, but they were simply the instrument of a larger creative force, an author who took possession of their bodies and minds to create their greatest works. This is the flow state, or Mushin, depending on if you want to go with Eastern philosophy. It came so easily as if by no effort of their own. They will say to me that the greatest reverence of some... Zoe! Where say, the greatest reverence, and sometimes with tears and pitiable eyes, it did not come from me. It came through me. We take that approach to heart. Okay, Yoey! Don't yell at me! Move. 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 No, this actually is a legitimate thing. So the flow state is a actual creative cognitive state you can get into. And it's basically when you remove the ego, the part of your brain that's constantly needing to be in control and overthinking and just like mewing things over nonstop, and you get it out of the way and you just let the words come out, you let it flow, and you're not really even thinking about what you're doing. No joke. If you guys remember when I was earlier on in the Archivist series, when I was writing poetry, I actually was writing poetry for those episodes. And there was one that was related to a dream. And actually, there's a few of those. And honestly, all of those I wrote in the flow state. So if you want to go back and read those again, then yes, a lot of those are written from my flow. Anyways. They say to me, with the greatest thing through me, we take that approach to heart at a Cauldron Lake Lodge, where the heavenly vistas of the Pacific Northwest and the deepest waters of the lake from which we take our name serves as sources of inspiration to our guests. So he's flat out saying the Cauldron Lake will be the source of inspiration for you. As Malarm once wrote, the poet disappears. This is absolutely the discovery of our time. And indeed, these techniques will encourage you as the artist to fade into the background of your art so that your mind and body are but instruments in its creation. There are great and powerful forces at work around us in the dark place. Unimaginably strong, the dark presence, but they can be harnessed through the intellect and courage. This sounds like dark side force energy right here. Hartman's a Sith, confirmed here. Like a raging river, like a raging river, they can be channeled, dammed, and released at will. We at the Lodge can show you how to broker a move away from the egocentric art and towards a grander form of expression, one in which the work stands before the artist and the world is transformed as a consequence of your creative acts. Again, he's incepting the idea here that their creation can literally transform the world. Creatio ex nihilo. This is creation from nothing. I have spent some time discussing the tenet that the artist must disappear in order to create, but let me encourage some cognitive dissonance for a moment with the contradictory idea, and is the core problem that I will discuss in this book. It is what classical theologians and philosophers have discussed through the rubric of creatio ex nihilo, creation from nothing, or what I variously refer to as the creator's dilemma, the God problem, as it were. Let us leave the theological questions behind us for a moment and consider this experience, this fleeting moment in which a writer like Philip faces a blank page, or when Daniel looks upon his white monster. I would like you to put yourselves into that trembling silence a dancer feels in his penultimate moment before she launches her body upon the brightly lit stage. The artist understands that in this fragile quantum of time and space, anything can happen. Moreover, in this moment, which my patients have described as magical and electrical and otherworldly, there is the possibility that one can create, like a god, something from nothing. But it also in this moment that a little thought may creep in and whisper, no. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. You cannot possibly delight, instruct, inspire, or surprise your audience. Your words, your hands, your deeds are dead. You cannot create something from nothing. You are not a god. You are but a mortal. If allowed to grow, if allowed to grow, as it so often does, this seed of doubt can destroy a creative life. So he's trying to get them to feel like gods. He's trying to convince them that they are gods. They are the demiurgos, so to speak. I firmly hold the belief that artists are gods, perhaps gods of lesser universes, but divine authors all the same. They create something from nothing. Creatio ex nihilo. Nihilo. Engagement therapy in the flow will be your pathway to working daily as a creator of your own universe. Trust me with your creative recovery, and we will build something grand and beautiful together. He is so jealous of artists. And the thing is, he's basically saying, you're gods, you're creator deities, but I am going to force you to write what I want you to write. Which, in a weird way, he's a direct parallel for the Dark Presence, who spent the entire time whispering in Alan's ear. Barbara Jagger was twisting the story. Jagger and Hartman are the exact same thing. Just one's more Lovecraftian and one is more real. He is basically what the Dark Presence would be like if it was flesh and blood. At the Cauldron Lake Lodge, the Creator's Dilemma is our dilemma. Now, let's begin, shall we? Now, between you and me, I would love to read this. I honestly would love to read his entire book because it's freaking interesting. The problem is he misuses this information. This approach is misused by him for the purposes of personal gain. But honestly, this is a fascinating section. Now, the original commentary for the game from the developers confirmed there's a lot of backstory for Hartman that never got released. They were never able to release it or in any multimedia or in the game itself, which is kind of unfortunate. Now, what I find interesting, too, is this is an Alan Wake Illuminated. Now, not released in the game. This was cut content. It was like an original idea. But in one of the original renditions of the story, Sarah was a sculptor. She was originally a sculptor before they decided to make her the sheriff. And also, then she was the radio host of the town. So originally it was a sculptor, then they made the radio host, and they said, no, let's make her the sheriff. Not relevant to anything, I just think it's kind of interesting. Now, before we get going, we have one more thing to do, is we have Nightingale's handwritten note, since we got through the previous night. If I can find it. There we go. Day 4 afternoon. Nope. Day 4 morning. Okay. So around the same time that Hartman's trying to gaslight us right here, Hartman is off at his own motel and he starts writing again. Was there like a live action video of Hartman was had? Yeah, Marama, that was in the Bright Falls prequel. There's the Bright Falls prequel. Hartman shows up. He was being interviewed by Jake Fisher. And possibly being channeled by Jake Fisher's. But anyways. Didn't sleep a wink. Scanner just got weirder through the night. Wake is one elusive bugger. Is he the only one? Is it him holding up the whole house of cards? What'll happen if I pull? Wish I could be sure, but not to decide is to decide. Have to do what's necessary when the time comes. Feels like I'm alone in the wilderness here. In Clay Stewart's commentary, Nightingale's impatience toward the end of these notes is palpable. This is the first instance where he questions Wake's status as a solitary force. Manifold questions remain, such as why he believed Wake to be such a source of danger. Had Nightingale been drawn to Bright Falls, as I was, by a series of dreams and nightmares? I'm compelled to think he was acting on harder evidence than was available to me. Could this be the ongoing investigation referred to in my Freedom of Information Act request? See page 123. So let's go ahead and check out page 123. So Clay Stewart put in a Freedom of Information Act request to the FBI to try to get some information regarding Nightingale's activities. So let's read and see their response. There we go. To Mr. Clay Stewart at 25 Station Street in Bright Falls, Washington. Subject was Robert Nightingale, Federal Bureau of Investigation from the U.S. Department of Justice. Dear Mr. Stewart, this is in response to your Freedom of Information Act request noted above. We cannot furnish records related to Special Agent Nightingale as they remain classified due to the ongoing investigation of an unrelated matter. We don't know what that unrelated matter is. I can inform you, however, that Agent Nightingale is no longer employed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Over 13 months ago, Agent Nightingale's partner was killed in the line of duty. The trauma related to this event triggered a severe mental breakdown and the subsequent substance abuse problem you referred to in your correspondence. Our records indicate that he ventured to Bright Falls following his discharge from the Bureau, but we have no knowledge of and bear no responsibility for his actions there. Furthermore, we have no files related to the Shadow Men, lake creatures, ravenous crows, or any other bizarre supernatural fauna you described. Bob Nightingale was a solid and dependable agent who was not able to overcome his tragic circumstances. His current whereabouts remain unknown. Sincerely yours, Pablo Rivera Diaz, the Section Chief, Record of Information of the Dissemination Section of Records and Management Division. Does the FBI have connections to Control? Not that we see. But then again, it would not surprise me if Alberto Tomasi, the head of the communications department at the FBC, has people planted in other government agencies to route stuff like this directly related to Altered World events. And we know that Marshall, for example, worked for the CIA at one point. They also have connections to NASA. And the investigations department was doing some stuff into the FBI because Alex Casey was an agent there, and they were wondering what was going on. So yeah, but it would not surprise me if Mr. Diaz here is an FBC plant within the FBI. You're absolutely correct, Ichiro. So they did, the FBC did flag Clay Stewart as a minor para-utilitarian and kept him on under indefinite surveillance after he published this book. Because let's be honest, that's what Clay Stewart is. He is a para-utilitarian, but to a much lesser degree than other characters. Anyways, with all that said, we're finally ready to get back to the game after an hour. Alright guys, let me be right back. I gotta let Mr. Samwise Gamgee back inside the house, and I'm gonna go brew some tea, and I will be right back. Alright, and we are back. Okay. So, before we move on, I wanted to run some thoughts by you guys. So, do you guys think that the secret country that Daniel was trying to create through his 7th sculpture, do you think that was a portal into the dark place, or do you think that was him creating his own universe? And he was trying to create a door to his own new reality, like a pocket universe that he envisioned in his head. Personally, I want to go with the second option because I find that more interesting. But he's literally creating a doorway to another plane of existence. Which the FBC could probably analyze that. And if that's the case, would you consider the 7th sculpture, if and when he ever finishes it, to be an altered item of sorts? One that facilitates a threshold? Anyways. Let's take you. Cross you off. And let's continue on.
I never get tired of this view. Very inspiring, isn't it?
Cauldron Lake spread below us. I could see Mirror Peak on the other side of the lake. I thought I could make out the spot where Diver's Isle had been when I arrived with Alice. Now there was nothing but waves.
It seems there's a storm coming. Funny, I don't recall there being a mention of that in the weather forecast. Well, no matter. This way. Follow me. Alan, what I'm telling you is good news. Right now we're in control. Every time you have a relapse, it gets more and more difficult to resurface from the dark depths of your imagination. Not surprising, considering your profession. Imagination is what you work with. After all your nightmares, this should come as an immense relief to you. If it doesn't, why is that? Because I'm lying? Or because you don't want to admit that you're not well?
That is a good question. Yes, the island is still... Diver's Island is still there when we look down. But is that a glitch where they didn't take it out? Or is it supposed to still be there right now?
It's very natural for you to think of me as your enemy. It's part of the illness.
I let him talk.
After all,
Hartman
I'm the
obviously
one
loved
trying
his
to
own
bring you
voice.
out of the
His
world
words
you've
echoed
constructed
madly
for
inside
yourself.
my head.
But I
I
can't
dug my
do
nails
it
into
by
the palms of my
myself.
hands to stay
You need
focused.
to work with me. Once you accept that, we can begin the journey towards your recovery.
Have fun with House of Leaves, Tony.
Come along. Let's go inside. Now here's the entrance to the office wing. That's for staff only. You were impressed by my trophies when you first arrived here. I do love to hunt. The great outdoors, man versus nature. It's wonderful stuff.
And he's
Pretty damn
incepting creative
wonderful,
ideas
yeah.
into people already.
Scary, scary, scary.
Emerson, my goat!
Emerson,
I'm a real bad dream, mister. You should be afraid of me. Don't want to run into me in the night, that's for sure.
please, Emerson. Mr. Wake is confused enough as it is.
Yeah, you'd like me to go away so you won't be scared. But you can't just decide what kind of dream you have or when you have it.
Emerson,
Okay. Sorry. Boo.
that's Emerson. We're actually making some progress with him, I'm happy to say. He works on
Elbow strike.
video
Oh,
games.
yeah.
It's trash, of course, but
I'll
it
get him
does
to the
involve
head.
some small creative effort, which makes him receptive to my therapeutic methods.
No kidding.
Hello, Wendy. Alright, so Wendy actually has some pretty interesting
Please,
lore.
this way.
But let's start with Emerson real quick. So again, he used to work on video games. Actually, we'll talk about him later. I take this back. I will take that back, because he has more dialogue, and then we can talk about him. Well, now, Wendy Desolé, she has an obsession with Wagner's Flight of the Valkyries and Johann Strauss's The Blue Danube Waltz. And given the name like Wendy, which has very much Peter Pan references there, I'm curious if she literally acts in the capacity of a Valkyrie in some sense. A spirit that transports people from one reality into another. Now, a cool little thing about Wendy, too. According to the survival guide, she first arrived in Cauldron Lake Lodge in 2005. She prefers to be known as Miss Wendy. And she is being funded by unknown benefactors. Even Dr. Hartman has no idea who is paying for her to be here. Who is she tied to? She has some connection to some powerful people somewhere, if they can keep their identity hidden from even someone like Hartman within all of his resources.
Oh, hello. I've painted you.
Okay.
I was just struck by inspiration a couple of days ago. Dr. Hartman wanted me to paint landscapes, and that's what I was doing. But now I've been doing these things, a lot of them. The images just keep coming. Dr. Hartman likes them. He has them in his office.
Yeah?
He's very proud of me. He says I'm getting much better. I think I'm getting better. Well, I guess I'd better start wrapping this up. The storm is almost here. Look at that. I'd hate to be out there tonight.
Everyone, raise your glasses to our boy Rudolph Lane. He has 13 years of peace. Or maybe a little bit less than that before the FBC destroys him. The shape of a man. And I can hear Tor sitting there with his squeaky hammer. Alrighties. So before we head on inwards, there's a few things we can grab. For example, Thermos! Let's do some Thermos lore. Okay, Thermos lore. This one is on page 134, which is right around the corner. Ka-ching. We found Hartman's lodge uncharacteristically. I'm pronouncing that very badly for some reason. I do not know why. Uncharacteristically easy to enter. Usually it's like Fort Knox in there. Someone placed a coffee thermos on the front reception desk. Now we know the young Cherie Johnson woman, who's taken over Marigold's waitress duties, sometimes visits here. Perhaps this is a network of thermos fans. Of course, I'd be laughed out of the bureau if I postulated that to anyone. So, after everything that happened to Rose being touched by the dark presence, a woman named Cherie Johnson took over her duties at the Oh Dear Diner. Now, we will talk about Cherie quite often because she's very big into photography. And so a lot of the photographs you see in the survival guide are actually taken by her. Let's go ahead and head back into the game. Yeah, 100% a Twin Peaks reference there, too. Sherry or Cherie? It depends on how you want to pronounce it, I guess. The Creator's Dilemma, the engaging new book by Dr. Emil Hartman, the author of the best-selling Creative Flow. His groundbreaking techniques, engagement theory, the flow explained in his own words, now available in bookstores across the country. Is the Thermos blurb FBC? They specify it is the FBI, Ichiro. It's not the FBC. Hello, there's some more thermoses over here. Yeah, Shelley Johnson's from Twin Peaks, so Sherry, yeah, it's definitely supposed to be an echo of her.
Zane could feel the poems, taking form, shaping things. As he experimented, he...
Wait. I wasn't supposed to read that yet. Sorry. We haven't gotten that yet in the game. Boom, boom. But we do have the more thermos lore right here. Coop texted me again. Again, Agent Cooper up in Seattle. He said received a message. He said he received a message that beyond the lake lies a deeper, darker ocean green, where waves are both wilder and more serene. To its ports I've been. He wouldn't elaborate further. Told me it had something to do with Cauldron Lake. Got a good view of the caldera from the mezzanine balcony where I found this thermos. Wait, Cooper's getting Zane messages now? Yes, he definitely is. Seriously, like I said... One second, let's switch on back. Like I said, the thermos guy has some interesting lore. As well as Agent Cooper keeps texting him. Did the FBC exist when the Alan Wake files drop? No, Ichiro. If you want to get into the timeline of it, it wasn't until 2012 when this House of Dreams blog came out when the idea for the FBC kind of solidified. I mean, there was implications in this one in one of the comic books that there was some kind of organization of some kind, but that didn't evolve into the FBC. So one of Samantha Wells' dreams had her being confronted by someone who was carrying a badge that said AWE. And at that same time, Remedy copyrighted or trademarked the phrase altered world events. So the idea was that what became the FBC was known as the Bureau of Altered World Events at that point in time. And then later they changed it to be the Federal Bureau of Control. Alright, so we got two paintings here. The Black Knight in the dead of night with the moon, and the White Knight with the sunrise. Again, Hartman is trying to incept certain ideas. Now, the original one, this QR code goes to an image of Sam making the constipation face, making the Max Payne references. Alright, then there's some other paintings we have up here, all over the place. Oh, owls are watching us. But we have an image of the Cape Campbell. We have a lighthouse here, and right on the other side of the bridge is a cabin. Wonder if the thermosky will be retconned from FBC from FBI, or to FBC from FBI. Well, we'll see by the end. Incept. So I use the term incept specifically for Rouge because you're basically saying something that causes the listener to interpret something very specific. Or it's like, here's a good example of inception. Everybody, do not think of a pink elephant on a trampoline. Your brain automatically thinks of a pink elephant on a trampoline. So I'm incepting that image into your head just by using those words. With a tutu. Yeah, there you go. Now I'm singing it with a tutu. Now I want to go watch freaking Fantasia. Thank you. Also, the survival guide does mention that Rudolph Lane tends to get tunnel vision when he's involved in a creative pursuit.
Now, you might have noticed the typewriter in your room. You've been writing as a part of the therapy. As soon as you feel up to it, you should continue.
And this just looks like something dropping into the lake, into like a thing of water with ripples flowing from it. Welcome to Cauldron Lake Lodge. We're here to give you the specialized help you need. However, please observe the following. Please ask friends and family to schedule visits beforehand to ensure they do not interfere with your therapy and or periods of creativity. Also, please respect your fellow patients' need for privacy and personal space, especially when they're engaged by their creative processes. And this is basically Hartman saying, yeah, don't let your family around here because I'm doing illegal shit and taking advantage of you, and I don't want any witnesses. Just saying. Okay. So before we get too far into this, I do want to take a pause and do some character backgrounds on Birch here, as well as the nurse. So let's switch back over to the survival guide. So there's some psychological backgrounds on both of those characters, which I think are interesting just to set the stage for who we're going to be dealing with. Okay, so we're going to be looking at Nurse Sinclair and Birch. So Birch is a psychiatric nurse and seen as orderly by some and henchman or gorilla by others. He's big and strong. If it wasn't for the nurse's uniform, he looks like a bouncer, and he has the disposition of match, although he puts on his professional face at work, particularly when his superiors are watching. Sometimes he's asked to do things, ugly things, that aren't in a nurse's normal job description, but Birch really doesn't mind getting his hands dirty. And then Nurse Sinclair, a matronly figure. Sinclair is also a psychiatric nurse. She maintains a fairly friendly professional appearance, but she enjoys her authority over the patients a little too much, and when her employer asks her to attend to matters that would clearly violate the ethics of her profession, she's quite willing to do it. After all, she's only following orders. She's becoming increasingly infuriated by the Andersons brothers and their inability to bend to her will, unlike the others. So the reason she has a personal issue with the Andersons is because they are stubborn and refuse to acknowledge her authority, so she wants to punish them even more than the others.
My rheumatism's killing me. There's a storm coming. Oh, what a storm.
I hope it wipes this place off the face of the earth.
And these two are the Anderson brothers, Odin and Thor. They had how should I put this? A heavy metal band in the 70s and 80s called Old Gods of Asgard. They even adopted new first names to complete the image of Viking gods. After the band broke up, they lived on a farm nearby. They are, well, in advanced stages of dementia. They're well cared for, TLC and all that. There's nothing more that can be done. I'm afraid that the rock and roll lifestyle has left its mark. Oh, that won't do. I'm so sorry to cut this short for now, Alan. The power has been acting up. I'd better go check on it. We'll continue this soon. Meanwhile, when you feel up to it, return to your room and try to write. It really is for the best. Don't you think?
I'd like to bash his head in with a hammer.
Oh, he'd love to fish out our secrets, but he has no clue. He's not crazy enough. Not crazy like us, Sonny.
Yeah!
Being crazy's a requirement, Sonny. Who else could understand the world when it's like this? It takes crazy to know crazy.
That's the sanest thing I've heard in a while.
Zane! You're all right, Tom. Hey, we like him, don't we, bro? He's got to go to the farm.
The Anderson farm. Valhalla!
We wrote it all down, lest we forget. A crash course. All you need to know to get your head right. You need to find the message.
Here, Sonny, here's something for you. Gave me a rash, but I kept it safe from these bastards.
My head was clearing up, or according to Hartman, I was sinking back into the fantasy. I was convinced he was lying to me about everything. Crazy or not, the Andersons made more sense.
Tom, got any booze on you?
Yeah, no. Sorry,
We have a
guys.
stash of the special stuff at the farm. Our own formula. Local ingredients. Medicine clears your head right up. Makes you remember like moonbeams on the brain.
Oh, I just noticed. Leather patches on the elbows? That's not very rock and roll.
Tom just lost is all. Baba Yaga got to him too, the damn witch.
She used us all, taken from all of us. Took my thunder, the witch.
And my ravens, what were they? Memory and thought, the hag.
She took something from you too, didn't she? That's what she does.
We're better off. This place, the lake, it gives you power. If you're a creator, an artist, a god.
Nightmare shifted in their sleep in the darkness of the lake.
Yeah, that's the one. She makes sure it comes out twisted and wrong. Just ask the lamp lady. She knows what happened to that other rider.
She's been using you, boy, and you let her. You went and opened the door for her, didn't you?
Now, it was already open a crack. And whose fault is that? We're morally corrupt, disease-ridden, old and stupid.
Doesn't mean he had to open it all the way, goddammit.
Okay, so I want to pause here real quick, because obviously that was all one big thing that I want to keep in mind while we're going through any Alan Wake related content, or really any RC related content, is an event that is scripted versus non-scripted. So obviously if you read the dialogue right there from the Old Gods, it very much reads like Alan's writing style, like the dialogue was written by him. Now, the second that that section is done, listen to them speak.
So tired. Built the farm close to the lake. A place of power.
We had parties there, man.
And they immediately turn into just drunken and their energy's gone. I mean, literally immediately they fall out of character.
Window hit that hippie chick in the back of the head. 15 stitches and a concussion. Bob's dead now. Leukemia.
It like that scene right there very much reminds me of when we're sneaking in the Valhalla nursing home. We witness Ati change character, where he goes from being in character, a scripted scene, and then all of a sudden he acts like he has dementia.
Stitches,
it feels like exactly the same type of character shift that happened immediately.
I'm tired, man.
Like you can tell the difference between like how they're speaking, how the voice actors are acting the scene up to that point, and then all of a sudden, they're no longer a character. This is an unscripted event. So it's said in the survival guide that the dark.
I want to go home.
Even their posture is completely different. Yeah, this is like a very important scene just to get the idea that not everything that we experience in the game is scripted as part of the departure manuscript. Some of it is off-page. And we'll see more instances of that in the sequel. But the survival guide states that the dark forces sapped the Old God's will. Odin is hard of hearing, and Tor sounds like he's permanently drunk. And it's implied that the Cape Campbell Covered Bridge Rescue Party was their last public appearance before the Bright Falls 2010 AWE. This was in 1981. The commentary from the developers confirmed that the Old Gods, these guys don't really pay attention to details. They're more about just like bold on your face kind of things. And as a result of their lack of detail in their art, they allowed the Dark Presence to remain in limbo rather than outright sealing it away, which is what Alan ends up trying to do here. And the survival guide also claims that the Night Springs board game that they're playing right now is homemade, that they made it themselves. And it's actually not that hard. I've personally made a board game myself. Granted, I just got the raw cardboard. Like, you can actually buy blank, like a board game stock or whatever you want to call it, and then take an image. So I took it down to Staples, and they made the Pokemon drinking board game for me. And it was the best thing ever for through my 20s. So yeah, I made that myself. It was awesome.
Zane could feel the poems, taking form, shaping things. As he experimented, he imagined he could almost feel the power surging through the keys of the typewriter. It exhilarated him. But there was fear, too. If not for his young assistant Emil, he would have given it up. But Emil convinced him otherwise. He, too, had a way with words.
Which is more specific and detail-oriented, writing or music? Maybe I'm being biased, but I personally would say music as long as there are lyrics in it. Because the written word is a very, very descriptive medium. And you can get the exact same literal incantation, I guess is the best way to put it, when you're writing a book versus writing song lyrics. But the added benefit in music is you have the music itself, which acts to manipulate the emotion. So it gives extra context for what the reader or the listener is supposed to be feeling at the time. So you can have the written word and the emotion you're supposed to take. And you, like, I actually took a music appreciation class, which was stupid because I've been playing since I was 10. But one of the projects we had to do was take a scene from a movie with the original background music and then try to change the mood of the scene by adding different background music. And it feels like watching a whole different scene. Invoking emotion and words together can be pretty powerful. Yeah, exactly the point. Now, you'd have to have lyrics that are as descriptive and as in-depth as a story, but you can add that emotion in it with the music, and that's my argument, I should say. Oh, and Cynthia Weaver blames Hartman for what happened to Thomas, according to the Survival Guide.
I'm a bad dream. You can't wake up. You can't hurt a nightmare because all dreams are only imagination. They're only in your head and they're not there when you wake up. So you can't wake up because I'm in charge now and I don't want to disappear. My nightmare is the publisher people who want to make a contribution so they can say they made a contribution. And then we end up with mullets in there because they think mullets are funny, but it wasn't supposed to be about mullets. And now it's about mullets. And when it's in slow motion, they call it mullet time because the numbers came back from marketing that mullet time is the hook we needed to go big in the target demographic. And they're not even kidding. They say it all like serial killers with straight faces and smiles. My nightmare is the writers who want to make everything from the characters to the toasters talk, talk, talk all the time and express their feelings so they won't shut up. And the writers won't shut up either because they have feelings too. And I have to listen to them because they're not scared of me. And everyone should just shut up, shut up, shut up. But I don't see nightmares anymore because I'm too scary for them. I take 2 pills every morning and 1 with every meal and 4 when I go to bed. And that makes me the scariest nightmare of all.
I love Emerson. Now, my hypothesis... Okay, so in lore, we know he worked for a video game developer. And the project he worked on had something to do with quote-unquote mullet time, which most likely is just bullet time, which is why I personally think he worked on a video game that was not, if not identical to Max Payne, is Max Payne in essence. Now, remember, upstairs in his bedroom, they have a Night Springs poster for a video game developed by Remedy Entertainment. My current hypothesis is that Emerson works for Remedy, the in-universe... the Alan Wake in-universe Remedy, and then had a psychological break. Now, the feature of his delusions has to do with this entire reality being a dream, right? And that if he cannot wake up from that dream, he should become the biggest nightmare in the dream, therefore he is in control of his surroundings. That's how his delusional disorder works. Now, if we remember back to Max Payne, a big feature of that story is Max realizing he exists within a video game, meaning he understands his reality isn't real. And spending too much time down that rabbit hole, Emerson may have developed the same opinion about his reality, very much like Inception, where you're not sure if you're really awake, and then he took that into reality and essentially turned into what the main character from that film's wife became. But instead of trying to opt out, he just decided to become the biggest nightmare within it. So even the details of his delusional disorder directly attributes to the Max Payne game in terms of the next logical step if someone couldn't handle that kind of knowledge. Now, let's head back a page real quick, because there is one more detail from the survival guide that I had to skip past. But apparently, after Emerson left the video game company, Kotaku wrote an article on him. Yes, the very same Kotaku wrote an article about Emerson's exit from this video game developer. And they said his leaving the company was not due to a mental breakdown, but was, quote, an extended vacation thanks to the negotiated bonus money settlement prior to termination. So he's gone because he got terminated, and he was on an extended vacation while they were negotiating his bonus and his final payment. Hey, it's in the survival guide, so we're considering it canon. Kotaku exists in the Remedyverse. Anyways. Alright, before we head upstairs to continue on with the next section, we do have another section of the Alan Wake file. Nightingale's handwritten notes, day 4, afternoon. Okay. Boom. So let's head all the way back up. Okay, where are we? Who's Kotaku? Oh, Elijah. It's a video game magazine. Not a magazine. It's like a... I think it used to be a magazine. But it's a game journalist company. And they're not very well regarded. Website. Yeah, they're basically game journalists. Kinda, sorta. Maybe I'm showing my age, but I immediately think video game magazines. I used to have a subscription to Game Informer through my local GameStop, and it was awesome. Alright, so day 4 afternoon according to Nightingale. A partner isn't like a coworker or a friend or even a brother. He's your guardian, your keeper, your other wife. He keeps you on the dead straight, calls you on everything the others let slide, and he has your back when the shooting starts. That's where I failed Finn. I owe it to him to keep going even when everything's gone. Dark. When the craziness back east started, he couldn't explain it either. That's when he needed me most, but I blew it. I have to make it right. And this really plays into the idea of why he gets so damn frustrated with the town thinking he was... Like, everybody thinks he's crazy. Because Finn, his partner Finnegan, started having these experiences and needed to have someone back him up. And Nightingale didn't do that. He didn't back up his partner. To the point where Finnegan eventually died. And right now he feels like what Finnegan... He's projecting what Finnegan would have felt at right now, where he's experiencing the exact same thing and no one is believing him and thinking him crazy. But he's using that to justify his actions because, like, hey, if I would have just listened to him, if they would have just listened to me, things would turn out fine. And it's just that never-ending spiral of back and forth. Yep, self-loathing turned outward. Yep, exactly. He's projecting the emotions on everyone else. It's partially survival's getting, partially he doesn't want to repeat the same cycle. So he's just, like, going to the extreme. So here is Clay Stewart again. This is a rarity, one of the few instances where Nightingale reveals his heart, and consequently some objective information about his motivations. That he lost a partner in the line of duty has been confirmed by my investigation. And the Freedom of Information Act also mentions that. For that, Mr. Diaz responded back. but the circumstances around that loss remains murky indeed. Clearly, he holds himself responsible in some fundamental way. Had Nightingale witnessed similar events before? How did these experiences transform him? Again, all we have is supposition and conjecture. Now, if you guys remember, when we had the interview with Pat Main, Nightingale asserts that he's had some experience with this kind of situation, but doesn't give any details. Most likely something similar happened to him back east, if this is FBI, I presume Virginia. And it led to a situation where Finn was under assault by dark forces, ended up dying. And Bob's using that as a fuel. Not only that, but it triggered a psychiatric issue and then led to substance abuse where he became an alcoholic. Now, before this whole thing, he was sober completely. He never drank ever. But this led him to substance abuse, which only amplified his issues. Now, down here it says, despite hours of scrutiny, I've been unable to determine why Agent Nightingale chose to record this somber moment. Nightingale took a photo of this bridge. Well, we've already seen the Hiss and the Dark Presence meet each other in the future. Anyways, let's go ahead and head back. But yeah, like I said, Nightingale's story is far more complicated than just him being a crazy, gun-toting drunk that calls Alan by different author names all the time. He's a very, very interesting character.
Hey, Wake, why don't you humor Dr. Hartman and give the writing a shot, huh? Typewriter's in your room. You can get to your room by those stairs, Wake.
You hope you get some information about Alan Wake's missing plot holes. Which one specifically are referring to Starims?
Something's wrong. I'm not myself. It's hard to think that there's a shadow inside my head. I can only focus on writing. Everything else is a blur. I'm trapped in this cabin. Have been for days, but it's always dark outside. My editor is real. I saw her again. She's not human. It's not human. A dark presence is wearing the old woman's face. She was covered in clinging shadows. There's a hole in her chest where her heart should be. I think I've made a horrible mistake. I don't think I'm any closer to saving Alice. It's been lying to me, using me to get the story it wants, and the story will come true.
And you saw the darkness come right behind him, just as he had that line. You're back from Dave & Buster's? Hey, dude, did you have a good time? I haven't been down to one of those in a while.
Hartman wanted me to write. I knew I couldn't, but I figured I should just play along for now. It was the only thing I could do with Nurse Birch watching me like a hawk. The white glare of the blank page in front of me hurt my eyes. My hands began to shake uncontrollably.
Everybody calm down. Put that down. Bert, I need help.
Hey, Wake, you stay here. I'm gonna go see what's up. You just keep doing what you're doing. Be cool, okay?
I didn't know what the chaos was all about, but it could be my only chance of getting out of here.
Okay, see their energy right now? This is definitely a scripted scene.
Oh, afraid of the crazy brothers, are ya? Not so weak now, are we?
Hartman kept talking, giving Barry the grand tour, clearly proud of the place. He went on and on about his hunting trophies, and Barry was impressed. But he was here on business. He raised his voice, cut through the monologue. Hey, Hartman, where's Al? Hartman stopped in mid-sentence, annoyed at the interruption. He nodded at the hulking orderly standing nearby. The man smiled and clapped a practiced hand on Barry's shoulder.
Oh yeah, this was very intentionally written just so that Sinclair and Birch were occupied.
Well, things are unraveling fast, aren't they?
Sinclair looked bad. That wasn't a love tap. The crazy old fart hit her hard. And if she was one of Hartman's goons, she had it coming. I could get the key to the office from Sinclair.
Honestly, Kenyatta, I wouldn't be able to say if Finnegan jumped from a bridge because there's no information one way or another to say anything about it.
Maybe you could come out and beat our wrinkled adult diapered asses for us. Since you're so tough, Bert.
Did you guys see that? His face disappeared inside that window. It turned completely black.
Road, man. You think we haven't seen punks like you before? Mortal knave.
Hey, what's up, Break?
To Hartman's office. He had taken all my manuscript pages. That's where he'd been keeping them.
Birch. My wrath will break you.
He's probably kidding, Birch. He's got a great sense of humor. Just ask Sinclair.
Oh, there's a little door in the window there. Okay. Copy that. All right, we'll skip past this and go to another section. We'll come back to this later. I have a note here to talk about. We'll do it later.
The photo on the wall caught my attention. In it, the clinic staff was standing outside the lodge. I knew the man next to Hartman. He was the kidnapper. Hartman had been playing me all along.
Yeah, like every time I noticed that Birch's face disappeared, I wasn't really paying attention to the screen. I just saw him there in 1 second and gone the next. I'd never watched the physical transition. So thank you for calling me out on that one. And now we have...
The markings on the tape said they were recordings Hartman had made at the sessions with his patients. I saw Alice's name on one of them. For a moment, I couldn't breathe right.
And we have a bunch of stuff here, which is all Rudolph Lane's paintings. Now, according to the survival guide, well, it's kind of obvious what, just by looking at it, what a lot of these things are. We've got a wolf right there. We got a Taken. We got a Raven's face. We got a Banshee. But this face right here, according to the survival guide, Alan mentions that's a claim he thinks he recognizes, regardless of what that means. They also say that Hartman's detractors, so remember we were talking about with Doc Nelson, who doesn't seem to like Hartman. Apparently all of his detractors kind of collectively understand that he's just completely immoral and only cares about personal power.
Hartman wasn't happy. Maude could see it in his eyes. He quickly lowered his own. He'd made a mess of it, and he knew it. The shame of failure was hard to bear. He hadn't expected Wake to say he needed more time, and he blurted out 2 days, less than Wake had asked for, to show him who was in charge. But that wasn't part of Hartman's plan.
Again, thinking without knowing what he's doing. Okay, let's listen to these.
Now, Mrs. Wake, can you tell me about Alan's problems?
He's more and more out of control all the time. The parties, he's so angry all the time. He's getting violent.
Do you mean with you?
No, not with me. No, never. Sometimes I almost wish Alan would take a swing at me, because at least that lead to a conversation he couldn't just march out of. But no. Alan doesn't really sleep. And the work, well, he's not writing at all. He sits there for hours and just gets more and more frustrated. And I can't talk to him.
Yes. Tell me, Mrs. Wake. What would you say to him if he'd listen?
I don't know. I want to say, I look at you, and it's not you. Just some stranger who resembles you. Looking out from behind your eyes. And I don't like that guy much. And now it's all gonna go to hell.
But you don't ever say this.
No. I've tried, but he's not listening. He's too deep in his own problems, always going on about something else. I'm so afraid I'm gonna lose him, and we're not even talking anymore. He doesn't let me in anymore. He just keeps me in the dark. I'm so alone here. Even when
just get him here, I'll absolutely do my very best.
Yeah, but Doctor, you need to be careful with him. He's not just going to listen to you and cooperate. He's the most stubborn man I've ever met.
Well, I'll be sure to bear that in mind.
Hearing her voice, what she was saying made me happy and sick and guilty all at once. Worst of all, I recognized the words. The phone call from her. It had been a cut-up of this. Just a recording.
Yeah, so I agree that most likely this painting of the wolf was a remnant from when the wolves were an taken enemy type in the original game. But they were cut, and they probably just kept the painting because it looks nice. So, is what it is. And yes, Tony, there was a wolf that swallowed the sun in Ragnarok. There's also one that swallowed the moon. Most likely, though, this would be more referred to Fenrir, the wolf of the Apocalypse. Or the Ragnarok, I should say, which Jack Lapino believed himself to be the human incarnation of Fenrir in the Max Payne universe. But anyways. And I would love to see a prequel of the Andersons as kids, but it's a rhythm game. What do you guys think? Remedy versus rhythm game starring the old gods? Yeah, Starrums. This is the remastered version. The only reason why is because I can only get it to reset all the collectibles on the remastered version. So I decided to play this one just because it's easier to show off all the manuscripts and stuff like that, and also the thermoses wouldn't respawn.
Rudolph Lane's case is interesting. He was completely blocked, and frankly, I was about to discard him as useless. However, once Wake arrived and started writing, something changed in Rudolph. He's producing extraordinary work, increasingly dark pieces. Unfortunately, he doesn't respond to direction at all, and it's my belief that he's not so much a creator as an illustrator, perhaps, a recorder of sorts. I hadn't considered the existence of such a role before, let alone its implications, but the paintings he has produced are informative. At least he's easily controlled and useful. I wish I could say the same about Wake. It's frustrating that the best subjects are always so damn difficult to deal with.
Okay, I take it back. Not a rhythm game. Brutal Legends. If they have a Brutal Legends style starring the old gods, awesome. And I agree. Dargonoid, I'd love to see a Fatal Frame style of game with Alice as the protagonist. Hell yeah. Alright, so you guys remember when last stream when we were reading all the interviews that Nightingale had during the previous day? Well, the reason I didn't read the last one for Dr. Hartman is because we listened to most of it right here.
I'm buying that. I was tailing Wheeler, and this is the only place he could have gone. That means Wake is probably there too.
Agent Nightingale, this is private property, and I will not allow you to disturb my patients.
Yeah? I can get a warrant. How would your fragile little patients like that?
Oh, I'm thoroughly intimidated by your mighty authority now, Agent.
Listen, you smug snob. How would you like it if I busted through this gate and knocked you around a little?
Agent Nightingale, first of all, I'm recording this conversation, so you might want to watch what you say. Secondly, you're not dealing with a hick now. I know the law, and if you can get a judge to grant a warrant, I'll be glad to cooperate. But you won't get one. Be advised that any further communications with me are to be made through my lawyer.
I don't believe this.
Good day, Agent.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's pause real quick and head over because there is more. Whoa, there we go. Okay, so there is more in here regarding that interview. I think there's more before it and more after it. Okay, this is the last of Agent Nightingale's taped interviews, apparently recorded outside the gates of Dr. Hartman's Cauldron Lake Lodge. I had a hard time making out Hartman's words which came out from the speaker. Again, Nightingale recorded this without the interviewee's knowledge. So it sounds like Hartman was recording it and Nightingale was recording it on the other end. Unlike the other interviews, Agent Nightingale now sounds undeniably drunk, and his poor conduct here speaks volumes about the immense pressure he is under. Okay, Okay, so a lot of this happens before that radio or the recording starts. So let's read this. Don't think you can demand. Don't think that can be arranged right now. I'm afraid we're a little understaffed today, so I'm very busy. You really should make an appointment. I have reason to believe there's a fugitive from justice on your premises. That's entirely ridiculous. Agent, you're not coming in. Listen, Hartman, you better cooperate here. I'm a federal agent. I'm well aware of that. Your reputation reached me long before you did. What's that supposed to mean? It means, Agent Nightingale, that you have demonstrated an unfortunate tendency to wave your gun around and go about your duties under the influence of alcohol. Did you really think no one would notice? You son of a bitch. Agent, I deal with substance abusers daily. You're a classic addict, unable to get through the day without drinking, yet living in obvious denial of your condition. You should seek help. Go to hell. What's your crutch, Agent? A discreet hip flask, perhaps? Do you tell yourself it's nothing? Here's an illuminating little experiment. Does the thought of pouring it all on the ground make you a little panicky? What a cliche. Shut up. As you wish. Good day. Agent, this is a completely unacceptable, and I realize your time isn't spent on anything constructive, but I have patients that need my help, patients that are actually willing to work through their problems. We're not done here yet, Hartman. I don't give a rat's ass about your patients. Is Alan Wake there? No, I told you that already. Why do you persist on this line of inquiry? I'm not buying that. I was tailing Wheeler, and this is the only place he could have gone. That means Wake is probably here, too. Agent Nightingale, this is private property. Okay, so this is where the actual recording starts. And yeah, Washington is a two-party consent state, but remember, Hartman does eventually reveal, hey, this is being recorded. Which, I don't know the law, but I think anything that happens before that is revealed cannot be admissible in court. Anything happens afterwards can. But who knows? I haven't looked into the law that deeply. Alright, so after the recording ends from Hartman's end, Agent Nightingale enters his car, followed by a scream of frustration and heavy thumps accompanied by the car's horn. Agent Nightingale then starts his car and drives away. Presumably, he has forgotten that his tape recorder is on. He occasionally talks to himself, but the recorder cannot pick up the words over the car's engine. Recording ends when the tape runs out. Okay. Now, according to the Alan Wake Illuminated, which is the art book, the developers kind of make the illusion that all artists at the lodge tend to draw inspiration from the same lake, here at Cauldron Lake. And as a result, that's why a lot of reoccurring motifs happen throughout all of their work. Okay, and then in regards to all these paintings, after the incident here at the lodge, apparently all of these paintings were seized by the Bright Falls Sheriff's Department. So Breaker took all these paintings after everything occurred.
Let me out of here! Hartman, do you hear me? I'm gonna do your crazy quack ass to shreds! Seriously, do you have any idea how much trouble you're in? I am famous. I represent a celebrity. They'll be looking for me. Oh, that's how you want to play it? Is that how you want to play it? Really? Okay, that's how we'll play it. It'll be hardball all the way, jerk. Seriously, man, I'm willing to forget the whole thing if you let me out now. Just let me out! Hey! You think I can't hear you out there? I hear you just fine. You what, is this how you get your kicks, Hartman? I knew you were weird. You got that weird guy look. If you're one of those nurses, I'll double what he's paying you, okay? Do you have any idea how much I make as an agent of a best-selling writer? A lot. Is a personal check good?
Is a personal check good? I'll pay you.
Barry?
Ow! About time!
Barry, man, am I glad to see you. We need to get to Hartman's office.
It's right next door.
You okay?
Yeah. I mean, no! The cops found me at Rose's trailer, but they didn't hassle me too much. I'm obviously a victim in this, and I demanded to be treated as such. Or else I'd sue their asses. Speaking of asses, that Fed gave me a real hard time.
but I had no clue where you were. That guy's crazy, Al. But he let me go, and then I get a call from Hartman, that son of a bitch, who tells me you're here, and I should come pick you up, but when I got here, 2 goons clobbered me and stuck me in there.
What's with the cutout?
I stole it from the diner to piss off Rose after what she did to us. That'll teach her.
Yeah, that's a harsh punishment. Come on, pal, we gotta get going.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why my mind just goes on random tangents all the time, but when he was like, speaking of asses, I was talking to Sheriff Breaker. Wait, sorry. Anyways, moving on. Sorry, Barry would be the type to say something like that. You saw how he was looking at Rose. Alright, we got some thermos lore going on here. Alright, so this one's going to be page 140. There we go. Is it on page... Oh, no, sorry, that's page 141. Wait, where is it? Maybe it was from 141. Yeah, there it is. The window cleaner was hard at it when I arrived. Said there was some weird oil along the sills. Perhaps the wood had a reaction to the atmospheric conditions during the crazy storm they told me about. Yeah, so that black sludge that hurts us that we have to burn with light is what he's talking about. They told me about. Anyways, there's another one of those damned thermoses on the windowsill of the storeroom next to Hartman's ransacked office. Now, that weird substance, the weird oily stuff, in the novelization, we actually get some information regarding how that functions, which I find really cool. So let's backtrack real quick. So in the novel, when Alan steps directly into a black puddle, he begins hearing Alice's voice calling to him. And her voice is begging him to stay there, don't move an inch, and just be with her. And it's very much implied that when you get touched by that black oil, it intentionally tries to keep you from moving and remaining still so that you can become taken. And also in the novel, it was stated that Nurse Birch falls into a puddle of this black ooze. It creeps up his leg, and then he becomes taken. So it's kind of like how in a certain sense, where the hiss will create this hallucination to keep you locked up in its mental prison. Well, the black substance kind of does something similar. Again, that's purely in the novelization, which is non-canon, but I like the idea, so I'm just going to stick with it. Alright guys, 2 seconds. I gotta go let Princess Zoe out. She is judging me silently, so I gotta go take care of her for a moment. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. I mean, Break, they never said that the dark cloud is the only way for someone to be taken. It seems like this is just another method to get them to stay in communion with darkness long enough to be taken. by pulling that whole, oh, stay here with me, don't leave me, Alan, because if you stay here, we can be together. If you step away, you'll lose me. It's just another means of doing the same thing.
These were all the pages I had on me. And more.
Alan, please. You're sliding back into the...
Tell me one more lie and I'll shoot you in the face.
Ah, well, it was worth a shot. Really, Wake, come on. Let's work together on this. You have no idea...
Hartman, shut up! Barry, get out of here. I'll catch up with you. Get a car.
Oh, Al, let's just...
Go!
Wake, listen to me. This is a mistake. Don't you see? Together we can create something absolutely wonderful. With your ability and mine.
He's like, sucker. Alright, so...
The dark presence would be on me in a moment. I had to find a way
Honestly,
out.
Trailblazer, I would say Alan Wake is more the central point of the Remedyverse, specifically the Dark Place, but that's where all the stories erupt from ultimately. There's the black ooze. There's the darkness. Yeah, I agree. Alan did enjoy that a little too much. Okay, guys, we're finally in gameplay. Let's do this. Ah! Okay, let's just burn some of these away for a little bit. Also fully explains about Alan's vendetta and turning him into the third thing. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, Alan really screwed Hartman over. Oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing again. Come on, get rid of all that stuff. I really suck at this, don't I? And Hartman's ultimate demise is thinking he was finally capable of going to places that the artists he has been tormenting go on a daily basis. He's like, oh, I'm so much more well-educated than them. I am far more prepared than they ever could be. It's like, uh-huh, buddy. Whatever you say. Oh, shoot. We actually forgot to read that manuscript.
Hartman followed the fall of Alan Wake with his binoculars. When the rider hit the water, he ordered Jack to take the boat to him. The spot was easy to see in the dark, even with all the extra lights in the boat. The flare floated and kept burning, even in the water. Jack turned the radio louder as the engine sputtered. The music was rough and clanking, something the Anderson brothers would no doubt have enjoyed. But Hartman chose to ignore it. Wake was finally within his reach.
Exactly, Dark, annoyed. Hartman literally, like, almost instantaneously, the second he went into the lake, was taken. Like, immediately. He had... Yeah, it was not even close. I mean, because he was already had a heart of darkness to begin with. Let me go grab another one. There we go. Zoe, what are you doing?
was no creator. He had no ambitions on that front. And he certainly didn't want to end up like every artist he had worked with here, damaged in ways that were hard to describe, or worse. It was enough for Hartman to maintain creative control and provide direction, to be a producer. That was what most of these people were in need of anyway. Of course, suitable subjects were few and far in between.
And this is really goes... Yeah. He just wants to control them and use their power to change the world in his own image. And no, Wolf, you really couldn't create a cohesive story out of just the manuscripts if you never played the game, largely because there's pages that we don't find. There's a lot of the story that's just missing. It'd be like reading every third page of a book and expecting to know what happens in the book.
Most of us have felt a shadow on us, a shiver down your back, a glimpse.
Okay, I'm gonna turn down the music for this one just so we can listen to the Night Springs episode.
Of the eye. You can't find it on purpose, but take a wrong turn, board the wrong bus, wonder where you are when you wake up, and you will find yourself in the small town of Night Springs.
So the original game, this wasn't here.
Tonight's
It was just a bunch of
the Doomed Samaritan.
it was just a bunch of random commercials.
Sometimes, even the simplest things prove impossible. Consider, you get in a car and leave a life behind. Easy? Not tonight.
Thanks for the ride, Mark. I'm so glad to be leaving this place. You have no idea.
What, Night Springs? Come on, Linda. Relax. It's not that bad. Hey, what's that up ahead?
Oh, God. There's someone in the road. I think there's been an accident. Are you all right?
Oh no, Linda! Oh no! It was me on the road! Wait! Tell him to watch out for the truck! Watch out for the truck!
My God, Mark?
Oh, no, please! God, no! Linda! Linda!
Thanks for the ride, Mark. I'm so glad to be leaving this place.
What, Night Springs? Come on, Linda. Relax. It's not that bad. Hey, what's that up ahead?
Oh, God. There's someone in the road. I think there's been an accident. Are you all right?
Oh no, Linda! Oh no! It was me on the road! Wait! Tell him to watch out for the truck! Watch out for the truck!
My God, Mark?
And there you have it. A vicious cycle, brutally punctuated by the blast of an air horn and screaming metal. Many roads are dangerous, but none more so than the one that leads away from Night Springs.
Correct, Ichiro. So this is in the Steam version, but it's not in the Xbox 360 version. The original only had some stuff here.
Parlor tricks, smoke and mirrors. But for some, magic is more than that. It's a way of working the secret machinery of reality itself. And more than one member of that Eldritch Brotherhood can be found in Night Springs.
Here we go. Here's some more.
Tonight's episode, What's in a Name? We find an old man standing on an old, rusting, derelict bridge, leaning his bony frame against the cold steel. And though he looks idle, he is hard at work. His young apprentice attends to him, as good apprentices do.
Yes, yes. Coming along nicely. Don't you think, boy?
Yes, Magus.
Magus.
Sir, we've been getting some complaints. Are you defacing the bridge?
Oh. No, I wouldn't do that.
Sir, I can see the screwdriver in your hand and the scratches on the steel beams.
No, you don't.
You've been spotted doing this all over town.
Yes, I have been very busy, but I'm no vandal, officer.
Exactly what are you up to, sir?
He's writing his name on the town.
The youngster is correct. I'm writing my name, my whole name, the entire and complete description of my soul on the town. I'm almost done.
Yeah? Well, all I see is an old man tagging public property.
Oh, I should bow down to the wisdom of your years? Words have power, young man. Names and titles especially.
Uh-huh. And, what's your name supposed to be?
Tell him, boy. Tell him while I finish the carving.
Officer, it's...
Say my name, boy. Say it.
It's Night Springs, officer.
But isn't that... That's the name of the town, isn't it?
Yes, it is from now on.
Wait, where'd he go? Hey, where is he?
Oh, officer. You know where he is, and what he is, don't you? I think you should get in your car and drive away, and remember which town you're serving.
He just claimed it for his own.
Ah, yes. There are too many little towns to count, all of them with some little magic of their own. But some towns have more personality than others, and none more so than Night Springs.
Alright, before we continue on there, so we can either interpret that as the physical embodiment of the town itself, or they referred to it at the beginning as an eldritch entity. Possibly he's going in to overtake the town and turn it from a regular place into Night Springs. Just like the desert shore area in the middle of the Arizona desert became Night Springs, so to speak. Now, the Doomed Samaritan's kind of funny, because in the one of the original drafts of the game, that scene with the whole time loop of finding yourself and then being hit by it was in the original version of the game, where Alan was driving towards the cabin on the lake, found a hitchhiker, picked him up, then found the overturned big rig, and it turns out that the hitchhiker just picked up was the one that got out of the car, got impacted, and it was the one that caused the accident in the first place. So it was the exact same type of looping storyline. But I had a thought while we were watching it. So the whole idea is that Linda's trying to get out of Night Springs, and then a time loop occurs that basically forces her to remain inside. Is anyone else seeing an echo there? Not in terms of the whole time loop causing them to remain, but the whole idea of Jake Fisher trying to get out of Bright Falls with Ellen Adams, and something happens off screen that kind of forces Jake to remain in town. Again, the circumstances are different, but the same goal is being accomplished. You have a figure that wants to leave Bright Falls / Night Springs, and then something weird happens to force them to remain in. They don't want to let them go. Oh, the last one isn't going to play. Damn it. So there's one more about a guy who's riding a bike, and he just kind of... Basically, the guy, it's implied he dies while riding the bike, but he rides through Night Spring. He rides into and out of Night Springs and dies there. But they didn't show it here. But anyways, let's get the music playing. Let's do this. But yeah, there's another one. I do have a video on it if you guys want to, if anyone hasn't seen it. I do have an entire playlist on Night Springs episodes. Come on here, Big Globe. One more strike. And honestly, I'm fine with the bicycle one not making it to the game, because frankly, it really wasn't much of anything. Ow. I thought I got behind that, but whatever. Hey, Nightkin, you had to take it easy. There we go. Wait. Get on in this room. There we go. Okay, one more. Let's do this. Perfect.
Ow! I'm here! I found the car, but the gate's locked. You're gonna have to go through the hedge maze over there.
Barry, I don't have a light.
Take this, Al. Oh,
Thank you,
God!
thank you.
Look at the house, Al. Look out!
Shit. I'm so almost out of battery life. These damn energizers are horrible. Okay, I need to find something in the geometry here. There we go. This is perfect. Nope, that is not perfect. Yeah, I know there's batteries on the bench. I'm just gonna get through this right now. Shit. Is that it? Is that it? Or is there one more? Nope, there's one more. Good enough.
Come on, Al, we gotta go. It's not much of a maze. I made it through easy.
Okay, this is just me, but that chain link fence is so... Or it's not chain link, sorry, corrugated iron fence is so easy to climb over. Thermoses! Time for some thermos lore. Alright, thermos lore, page 143. Or, sorry, ornamental iron, not corrugated. I'm sorry. The lodge seems to be missing a number of key elements. Its staff, doctor, patients, even parts of the exterior sculpture. Head office wants more theories on who's leaving coffee thermoses. None of Coop's crazy metaphysical stuff. I thought the thermos distribution network had shut down, but no, there's one of the stone walkway by the main driveway and sculpture. Yes, there's a thermos smuggling ring going on here. Alright, let's go pick up some batteries, and then we have a sign to read up here. Yeah, this is so easy to climb over. But I guess if he doesn't have any cardio, he has no upper body strength either. Boom. Alright. So now let's take a look at this. It looks like 3 tentacles erupting out of the earth, and then holding what looks to be either a floodlight or maybe like a diver's helmet. And this is a sculpture entitled Suspended by a Lauren Miller in 1989. Looks like a diving bell to me. Well, it definitely should be a diving bell, but we also see it act in one of the DLCs. So this statue makes an appearance in the DLC as well. We knew Emil was a Sith, no crap. Alright, so in the survival guide, Alan mentions that this whole area right here, around the Suspended, it looks like some kind of a pagan ritual site. Specifically with the 4 pillars surrounding it. And he does comment on it looks like a diver's helmet or diver's bell. Also in the survival guide, they claim that this instance today, what's going on right now, that the lodge itself was taken. Now that could just be a poetic description of what happened to the place, but it claims that even locations can be taken. Which is kind of what happened to the Overlook Hotel, too.
Oh, jeez, Al! The house looks bad! Let's get out of here!
Okay. Let's go ahead and check you off. Okay, let's get going. And again, we're getting echoes of the hedge maze in The Shining. I'm just gonna stay here. Come on, come on, come on. You got this. There we go. Hey guys, we're 2.5 hours in. We are just finally getting some fights. Don't trust Emil. Now, we see these all over the town, but this one I find really interesting. Because remember, the only people that can see this yellow paint are those who've been touched by darkness. And these are painted all over this place. So, my personal headcanon is that Emil and all the staff can't see this stuff, but the patients can see this. So, Cynthia's literally trying to leave messages for the patients of the lodge to try to get them to distrust the guy, the guy who's keeping them, their jailer, I should say. But she knows full well the patients will be able to see this while the others can't.
I stared at the Viking paraphernalia that littered the area, surrounding an unlikely centerpiece. A full-size stage complete with an impressive sound system with all the trimmings, including a dragon. It took a special kind of crazy to build something like this in a remote field. When the sky split open with a deafening boom and the music started blasting, it felt strangely appropriate.
Hey, I appreciate it, Draco. I didn't see any of the comments, but if someone was trolling, I appreciate the assistance, buddy. They already know everything like her. Not, I would say not all of them. I'm sure there's enough patients that show up here that are not fully aware of who Hartman is and what he's about. There he is. You got him so quick, I didn't even notice we had a troll in chat. Okay, I need to back up. I should have gone the other direction. Screw it. Screw it. I do not have a shotgun yet. Crap.
Hartman hurried down the corridor. He had disliked leaving Wake when he was surely at his most susceptible to therapy. But this was not an ordinary storm. Wake had been writing, and he had woken something up in the depths of the lake. Now, it was coming for him. Hartman had naturally prepared for a situation like this. The idiot brothers would keep Wake distracted while Hartman double-checked everything, just to be sure.
Break, you've been a troll the whole time playing the long game for years. Oh, so a cool little detail, even though it's probably nothing to do with anything. That tree that we just walked past in the center garden, that's a birch tree. Coincidentally, one of the nurses' name is Birch, too. Probably nothing.
We don't want any fighting. It makes me mad.
Do we have anything? I do not have anything.
You get 2 pills in the morning, and then you'll be nice and cold.
And now we see what happened to Birch after he fell into the black ooze.
You get 3 pills in the evening. You sleep like a baby.
Oh my god, there's so much! Oh my god, it's so much! Go away, there we go. Okay, at least we got it. Reload, reload, reload. Okay, we're good. A lot of times there's a flare gun in that box, so I could have grabbed it just to make this easier, but it's okay, we survived. Come on down here, you unkindness. There's the flare gun. Boom! Coffee thermos. Let's go ahead and get some thermos lore. Okay, so this one is on page 145. Or maybe it's not on 145, it's on 146. We got this one after the storm had washed out most of the evidence. It was in the gazebo, but I have to write this down too, as Coop thinks it might be related. I had a dream last night. It was like the hallucination I had. I looked at myself, and I was gradually turning a weird, transparent color, all bloated. Then water started pouring out of my mouth, and I couldn't get it to stop. Weird, right? Yes, definitely a little weird. Yeah, having dreams in Bright Falls is not good, especially when you see yourself pouring water out of your mouth and turning see-through. Oh no, he's turning into a giant thermos. He's becoming the things that he hates. Coffee. The FBI thermos guy is actually the original coffee thermos, the coffee monster. Night Springs was trying to warn us. Maybe he is the origin of that demon. Yes, the North Star episode of Night Springs. This is the origin story.
Mott knew that Wake was smarter than him. Wake had more money, a beautiful wife, everything. And Hartman said Wake was important. That made him better than Mott. But Mott was calling the shots now. He'd expected Wake to whimper and grovel, but instead, he seemed willing to fight. Mott knew he'd gotten under Wake's skin. If only Mott actually had his wife. The thought made him shiver.
Yeah, he's all bark but no bite. Okay, we need to get ammunition because we're like running really low and we're gonna have one of the toughest fights in the game coming up. So let's scour every square inch. Shit. This is 4 rounds. Let's just do the shotgun just so we can conserve a little bit of pistol ammo. Oh, you bastard! Oh my god, I am literally gonna die right here. Oh my lord. I have like no ammo. This is a very dangerous position to be in. This is very, very dangerous. And I'm about to waste my last pistol round, too. Shit. I'm about to get hit. Yep. I knew I didn't have enough for that one. Okay. And the reason we're about to lose it is because, guess what? We have another canned pyramid that we have to shoot. No more ammo. Totally worth it. Alright, which means we have some more lore. The Dark Mistress is angry. I'm sure of it. Even Mr. H is sweating bullets. I had time to leave Wake a little gift on the perimeter wall on the long pergola. I've got to get going now. I have to reach Lover's Peak before he does. So this is before episode 2, but he's been witnessing the Dark Mistress. He's starting to hallucinate her more and more. And this was earlier on in the game.
For the moment, Barry was just glad he had survived the fall. He had been separated from Al, and there was no easy way to climb back up. He told himself he'd be okay in the gloomy forest at night. He would just have to wait for a while for Al to find his way down. Barry turned when he heard the heavy footsteps and saw the movement. The man-shaped shadow lunged at him from the bushes, an axe held high. Barry screamed and threw up his hand. The world exploded.
It's okay. Barry is the has protagonist hacks. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, Pastor, I know there's a cache nearby. We're doing 100% collectibles, and hidden cache is one of them because there is lore tied to each of these. It's right off the path along the wall there. Okay, at least we got some pistol ammo. Barry does have the thickest plot armor, and you want to know why? His red coat is the plot armor. And that's why it's so thick. He probably has the words plot armor just like sewn into the inner sleeves. His red coat's an object of power and gives a 99% chance to reflect all damage. Sounds about right. That's a pretty nice buff. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and read the hidden cache lore. And this was on page 146. Fellow author Terry Pratchett once said, "Light thinks it travels faster than anything, but it is wrong. No matter how fast light travels, it finds the darkness has already got there first and is waiting for it. The help I give in the shaded stone alcove of Hartman's upper garden allows you to deal with these expected threats. These expected threats, I should say." The dark is always waiting. Yep. Would you guys hate me if I said I've never actually read Terry Pratchett? Like, I'm very well aware of who he is, I've just never read him. Wait, we got some more thermos. You're unsubbing for that? Alrighties. So this one. Another coffee thermos found, this one on the raised middle of the garden on the stone wall. I've not had any freakish dreams again, but I did go down to the Oh Dear Diner after my trip to Cauldron Lake Lodge. The coffee is so good. No, make that damn good. That it almost drove me to take to the countryside, handing out the thermoses of the stuff for folks to try. You're half tempted to drag me through the library right now. Honestly, Vest, taking me to the library is a dangerous plan, because every time I go down to my local library to pick up one book, I walk out with like 10 of them. And I just can't stop myself. Alright, so you want to know something kind of funny? It has nothing to do with the game, but in my notes here, I have, okay, back for this last thermos, it's noted as the back wall in Final Garden. Read excerpt from page 147. But Zoe decided, I didn't notice this until just now, she stepped on the keyboard when I wasn't paying attention. So when it says the Final Garden, it says G32222222222ARDEN. Try to work with a cat in the office. It is very difficult. Have you guys seen that ancient, like, Chinese artwork where they have, it's all done in ink on parchment, and you have cat footprints all over it?
Hartman watched as Wake's features slackened.
From, like, 600 years ago?
No doubt. Even lying on the bed, he'd almost broken Hartman's nose the second time. But with a little time, he could break Wake down, give him proper direction. Wake was easily the most promising subject he had had. Well, since Tom, really. Sleep well, Alan, Hartman whispered with a smile. Let me take care of you. He sniffed hard to clear his throbbing nose, swallowed blood, and barely tasted it.
Yeah, he doesn't experience the normal thoughts and emotions that come with doing horrible things like that. You've seen the medieval manuscripts of the cows. Oh no, I'm actually misremembering. Yes, it was medieval manuscripts, Melissa, but there's also the story of the, I think there's a painting of a woman who was, had her, I think it was like a kimono or whatever, she was sitting on it, and the cat was sleeping on the fabric, so instead of getting up to wake the cat, she literally grabbed a knife or some scissors and cut the fabric and destroyed her dress so that she didn't wake the cat. I think that's the story I was thinking of. Alright, so this is what we have to work with. We have 3 flares, 3 flare guns, 30 rounds, and 10 shotgun shells. I think we're going to be playing more of the delay game than the kill them all game. Yeah, cats have been cats forever, and they will never change. This is one of the toughest fights in the game, in my opinion.
Let's get out of here. Can you open this gate?
Maybe.
Barry.
Seriously, you go here, you hop up there, and then hop over the edge.
When the nasty showed up, and the key fits kind of loose in the lock, so, I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
Alright, let's do this. Okay, the small, fast guys are going to be my first target.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Shit! Oh, I'm already failing. I'm already failing. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and reload all our weapons. Okay, it's stun them, stun them, stun them, stun them. It's not stunning them.
I found it! I found
No,
it!
that's Twig.
Ah, no, wait, that's a twig. Here it is! Al, I found the key!
Let's go. Okay, we're good.
Al, please tell me we're headed for the nearest "You're now leaving Bright Falls. Come back soon" sign.
We're going to the Anderson farm.
I knew you were gonna say something like that. You know what? You owe me big time for this. When this is through, if we make it, I don't care what anybody says, I'm done with darkness. You're gonna buy me a tanning bed as a gift, and I'm gonna live in it.
taken building. Why is the cardboard cutout not in every other game moving forward? Why do you question the stupidest things? The cardboard is it's needed for the plot. It's essential.
I'm crazy, but that's fine, Barry.
Oh, you got that right, Al. You're barking mad. You are by far the craziest...
But maybe that's inevitable when you deal with crazy stuff like this. It helps. This is happening, Barry. Alice, they never had Alice. She's trapped in the darkness at the bottom of the lake, but she's not dead.
Al, how can you know that?
I know, Barry. I can...
Al,
No, listen. I can bring her back. I can find her. There's something special about this place. The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true. But there's a catch. The dark presence, whatever that thing is, twists it to its own ends. That's why all of this is happening. It's using my manuscript to take over everything.
Al, I believe you.
It happened to Thomas Zane before, it happened to the Andersons.
I believe you. Crazy or not, you're not delusional. Weird shit's going down. That's a fact. I'm on board, man. I'm with you.
The Andersons knew about it, but they were too far gone to tell me with all the drugs they were on. But they wrote it down. There's a message somewhere at their farm, Barry. We just need to find it.
Look out! Al! God damn it, Al, talk to me!
Boom. And we're gonna have to pause there, guys. That's gonna be the end of this one, unfortunately. That being said, though, I think the reason why Barry only made it into this one game is because if he was in any other games, the main antagonist would just run away screaming. I mean, imagine if Barry entered the oldest house when the Hiss arrived. Their Hiss would just run away from the house and go back to their home dimension when he threatened to sue them with his lawyers. Barry's they'd be like, "Oh shit, no, we gotta get out of here. Barry has his lawyers on our ass." Let's be real. Barry's the GOAT, and he would beat everything. And that's why we can't have him anywhere, because he's just like a freaking hacks. He has all the hacks. Oh, I know you're looking for the concert, but honestly, we're probably like an hour and a half away from the concert, Melissa. You saw, like, this whole section could probably take maybe like a half an hour if you're playing it normally, and we are 3 hours in. But we'll go ahead and finish this all the way up to at least finishing up episode 4. We may get a little bit into episode 5. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see how far it takes us. Anyways, guys, thank you all for hanging out, and we will continue on to the next part on Wednesday. On Wednesday is when we're going to continue on and get to the concert and take a look at some of the backstory around the old gods of Asgard. Anyways, guys, peace out. Love you all. See you soon.